Chapter 1. The Jester's Blunder. In the run-down tavern of the Whispering Walls, a lone figure stumbled through the doorway, tripping over his own feet. Fineweed, a jester of questionable talent and perpetual misfortune, face-planted onto the sticky floorboards. The patrons of the tavern, a mix of rowdy tavern-goers and shady characters, couldn't help but laugh at the spectacle. Fineweed, rubbing his sore nose, picked himself up and slumped onto a nearby stool. He signaled the bartender for a mug of ale, which he promptly spilled all over the counter. The bartender, a gruff old man with a thick beard, cursed under his breath as he mopped up the mess. This was Fineweed's life in a nutshell, a series of mishaps and misadventures that left him perpetually broke and hungry. His jokes fell flat, his tricks backfired, and his attempts at music were akin to torture. Yet, despite his ineptitude, there was something endearing about the hapless jester. Perhaps it was his unwavering optimism, or his ability to laugh at his own misfortunes. As Fineweed nursed his ale, a hooded figure slipped into the tavern, their eyes scanning the room with an air of urgency. They approached Fineweed, their voice barely above a whisper. "You, Jester. The Oracle of Mirth requires your presence. A quest of great importance awaits, one that will test your unique set of skills." Fineweed's eyes widened in confusion. "Me? A quest? Ha! You must be joking!" But the messenger's serious demeanor left him with a gnawing sense of unease. What could the Oracle possibly want as he gazed at the hooded figure, his mind struggling to comprehend the message? A quest? Him? It was absurd. He was a jester, not a hero. His skills lay in making people laugh, not in saving the day. The messenger's eyes seemed to bore into Fineweed's very soul, as if searching for something hidden deep within. Fineweed shifted uncomfortably, his gaze darting around the tavern. The patrons, sensing the tension, had fallen silent, their eyes fixed on the unlikely duo. "Me?" Fineweed reiterated, his voice laced with skepticism. "What could the Oracle possibly want with me?" He paused, a sudden thought striking him. "Is this some kind of prank? Did Grimp, that pesky bard, put you up to this?" The messenger's expression remained unreadable, but Fineweed detected a faint twitch in their voice. "This is no jest, Fineweed. The Oracle's summons are not to be taken lightly. You would do well to heed the call." Fineweed snorted, rolling his eyes. "Heed the call? Me? Don't make me laugh." But as he gazed into the messenger's eyes, he saw something there, a glimmer of determination, that made him hesitate. For a moment Fineweed's thoughts were a jumbled mess, his mind torn between the absurdity of the situation and the faintest whisper of curiosity. What could the Oracle possibly want with him, and what lay at the heart of this mysterious quest? The tavern patrons, sensing the tension had passed, returned to their revelry, their laughter and chatter filling the room once more. Fineweed, still seated, felt like an island adrift in a sea of uncertainty, unsure which direction to turn or what lingered in the air. Fineweed's gaze drifted to the tavern's patrons, who were now engrossed in their own conversations, their laughter and jests a stark contrast to the solemnity of the moment. The bard, Grimp, caught his eye, his bushy eyebrows raised in a gesture of mock curiosity. Fineweed's thoughts, however, were elsewhere. What lay at the heart of this mysterious quest? The Oracle's words echoed in his mind, tantalizing him with hints of adventure and danger. A part of him, the part that reveled in the absurdity of life, was tempted to accept the challenge, no matter how foolhardy it seemed. But another, more cautious part of him whispered warnings of impending doom, of the certainty that he, Fineweed, was not cut out for such grand endeavors. The messenger's eyes never left his, their intensity piercing the veil of uncertainty that shrouded Finewid's thoughts. "You would do well to heed the call," they repeated, their voice low and urgent. "The Oracle's patience is not limitless, and there are those who would stop at nothing to claim this quest for themselves." Finewid's gaze faltered, his thoughts scattering like autumn leaves in a gust of wind. He envisioned himself clad in shining armor, his jests and tricks replaced by valor and cunning, his name etched into the annals of history. But the vision was fleeting, shattered by the crushing weight of reality. He was a jester, a fool, a man of mocking words and pratfalls. What could he possibly bring to a quest of great importance? The messenger's words hung in the air, a challenge and a warning, as Finewid wrestled with the demons of his own self-doubt. For a moment the tavern faded into the background, and all that existed was the thrumming of his own heartbeat, the whisper of possibility, and the looming presence swirled to a maelstrom of doubts and uncertainties as he gazed into the messenger's eyes. Yet, despite the trepidation that gripped his heart, he felt an inexplicable sense of resolve, a spark of determination that refused to be extinguished. With a deep breath, he squared his shoulders, his voice firm, though his heart trembled with uncertainty. "I'll do it. I'll accept the Oracle's quest." The messenger's expression remained impassive, but a hint of surprise flickered in their eyes. "Very well, Finewid. You shall be escorted to the Oracle's realm, where your journey will begin." Without another word, the messenger gestured to a figure waiting by the tavern door. A liveried servant, resplendent in ornate attire, stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. Finewid followed the servant, his heart pounding in his chest as they navigated the winding streets of Luminaria. The city's bustling streets, once so familiar, now seemed alien, as if he viewed them through the lens of a stranger. Their destination was a grand, ornate carriage, its every inch intricately carved with runes, symbols, and ancient sigils that shimmered like moonlight in the fading afternoon sun. The carriage's door, adorned with a silver crescent moon, swung open, revealing a plush velvet interior that seemed to whisper secrets to the wind. Finewid's hesitation was momentary as he settled into the carriage, his gaze fixed on the intricate patterns that danced across the walls. The door closed behind him, and the carriage lurched forward, its horses' hooves echoing through the city streets. As the city gave way to the rolling hills and verdant forests of the countryside, Finewid felt the weight of his decision settling upon him. He was no longer just a jester, a fool, a man of mocking words and pratfalls. He was a hero, or at least, he was about to become one. The carriage's window, a lattice of silver and glass, framed the passing landscape, a kaleidoscope of colors and textures that blurred into a mesmerizing tapestry. Finewid's thoughts, once a jumble of doubts and fears, began to coalesce as he gazed into the unknown, his heart pounding with anticipation. Where was he headed? What lay at the end of this journey? Only the Oracle knew, and Finewid could only trust that the road ahead would lead him to the forward. Finewid felt a jolt of anxiety, his heart racing with anticipation. He glanced around the plush interior, his eyes settling on the messenger, who sat opposite him, their face a mask of serenity. "What lies ahead?" Finewid asked, his voice laced with a hint of trepidation. The messenger's response was enigmatic. "The road ahead is fraught with danger, Finewid, but fear not, for you have been chosen for this quest. You will know what to do when the time comes." Finewid's brow furrowed, his mind racing with questions. What dangers lay ahead? What lay at the end of this journey? But the messenger's words were cryptic, offering little comfort. The first 5 minutes of the ride passed in silence, the only sound the soft creaking of the carriage wheels and the muffled thud of the horses' hooves. Finewid's anxiety grew, his thoughts careening wildly between excitement and terror. He glanced out the window, watching as the city gave way to the rolling hills and verdant forests of the countryside. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the landscape, but Skilsut Finewid's mood remained sombre. What had he gotten himself into? He was a jester, a fool, not a hero. Did he possess that could possibly aid him on this quest? The messenger's eyes never left his, their gaze piercing as if searching for something hidden deep within Finewid's soul. Finewid felt like a specimen under a microscope, his every thought and emotion laid bare for the messenger to dissect. As the minutes ticked by, Finewid's anxiety began to give way to a sense of determination. He would see this through, no matter what lay ahead. He would prove to himself and to the messenger that he was more than just a foolish jester. But for now he could only sit, his eyes fixed on the messenger, his heart pounding with anticipation, as the carriage continued on its journey. The buildings of Luminaria gave way to the rolling hills and verdant forests of the countryside. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the landscape, and Finewid felt a sense of peace wash over him. The messenger's enigmatic presence still unnerved him, but the gentle rocking of the carriage and the soft creaking of its wheels seemed to lull him into a state of calm. The minutes ticked by, each one marked by the steady rhythm of the horses' hooves. Finewid gazed out the window, watching as the landscape unfolded before him. The hills grew more rugged, the forests denser, and the air thickened with the scent of damp earth and greenery. As they approached the woods, Finewid felt a thrill of excitement. He had never been this far out of town before, and the prospect of adventure beckoned. The trees loomed ahead, their branches like outstretched arms, and Finewid felt a shiver run down his spine. The carriage slowed as they entered the woods, the horses' hooves quieting on the soft earth. Finewid peered out of the window, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. The trees towered above them, their canopies a sea of green that seemed to swallow the carriage whole. As they wound deeper into the woods, the silence grew thicker, punctuated only by the occasional snapping of a twig or the hooting of a distant owl. Finewid felt like he was being pulled into a different world, one that was both familiar and strange. And then, without warning, the carriage began to pick up speed. The horses' hooves grew louder, their rhythm quickening as they surged forward. Finewid's heart skipped a beat as he felt the rush of wind in his face, and he grasped the carriage door to steady himself, a green and brown streak that seemed to stretch on forever. Finewid's stomach lurched with excitement, and he felt a grin spread across his face. Where were they going? What lay ahead? But for now he could only hold on, his heart pounding with anticipation as the carriage hurtled forward into the unknown. The carriage hurtled through the forest, the trees blurring around Finewid like a green and brown storm. The air grew cooler, the mist thickening into a veil of mystery that shrouded the landscape. Finewid's heart pounded with excitement, his senses on high alert as the carriage careened through the unknown realms. Suddenly the forest gave way to a kaleidoscope of colors, bright tunnels that stretched out before them like a rainbow-hued highway. The carriage hurtled through the tunnels, Finewid's stomach lurching with each twist and turn. The colors danced around him, a mesmerizing display of light and sound that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. As they emerged from the final tunnel, Finewid blinked in the bright light, his eyes adjusting to the misty veil that shrouded the landscape. They were in the midst of a mountain range, the peaks towering above them like giants. The air was crisp and clean, the scent of mist and stone filling Finewood's lungs. And then, as they rounded a bend in the road, Finewood saw it. The Oracle's temple, perched on one of the higher peaks like a delicate flower. The building was ornate, yet humble, its stone walls adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to shimmer in the fading light. Finewood's heart skipped a beat as the carriage drew to a stop before the temple. He felt a sense of awe wash over him, his mind reeling with the implications of this mysterious journey. They had traveled hundreds of miles, yet it felt like they had traversed entire worlds. The messengers stepped out of the carriage, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. "We have arrived," they said, their voice low and mysterious. Finewood followed, his feet carrying him toward the temple, as if drawn by an unseen force. The mist swirled around him, casting an ethereal glow over the scene. As they approached the temple entrance, a figure emerged from the shadows, their eyes shining with an inner light. It was the Oracle, Finewood sensed, the keeper of secrets and mysteries beyond his comprehension. And with that, Finewood's journey truly began, as he stepped into the unknown, leaving the familiar world like two glittering stars fixed upon Finewood as she extended a slender hand. Her voice, a gentle breeze on a summer's day, whispered across the misty air. "I am the Oracle, weaver of tapestries that foretell the future. My visions, like threads of silk, have warned me of a threat that looms on the horizon." As she spoke, her words seemed to falter, her eyes glazing over as if she were under the influence of a sedative. Finewood's brow furrowed in concern, but the Oracle continued, her voice laced with a dreamlike quality. "The rivers of time have whispered secrets to me, whispers of a darkness that gathers like a storm on the horizon. The winds howl with a warning that I must convey to you, lest you stumble into the abyss." Finewood's eyes locked onto hers, his mind racing to comprehend the enigmatic words. As the Oracle spoke, he felt a sudden sense of unease, his foot instinctively drawing back from the edge of the temple step. The Oracle's words, like a gentle hand, had guided him away from the precipice. Her eyes, now sunken, seemed to bore into his very soul. "Heed my words, Finewood, for the path ahead is fraught with peril. The shadows gather, and the darkness seeks to claim all that is good." Finewood's heart raced, his mind reeling with the weight of the Oracle's words. He felt like a pawn in a game of cosmic proportions, a game where the stakes were the very fabric of reality. And yet, as he gazed into the Oracle's eyes, he sensed a deep wisdom, a wisdom that seemed to pierce the veil. Eyes seemed to gaze into the very fabric of reality, her voice whispering secrets to the misty air. "In a valley, where the mountains whisper secrets to the wind, lies a kingdom shrouded in shadow. A ruler, with a heart of ice and a tongue of silver, has woven a web of deceit, ensnaring the land in darkness." Finewood's brow furrowed, his mind racing to comprehend the Oracle's cryptic words. "Ah, you mean some tyrant has taken over. Well, I'm sure it's not as bad as all that. The ruler's name is Lord Sloss," the Oracle's voice cut in, her tone firm. "He seized power through cunning and guile rather than brute force. His kingdom is a prison where laughter and joy are but distant memories." Finewood's grin faltered, his eyes darting about as if searching for an escape route. "Well, I'm sure I can just, charm my way out of it. You know, make a few jokes, do a few tricks, and—" The oracle's eyes seemed to bore into his very soul. "Finewid, you would try to deceive even me? I have seen the threads of fate, and they are clear. You will be a hero. Not because you are destined for greatness, but because you will choose the path of the hero. You will stumble upon it, or you will seek it out. But make no mistake, Finewid, you will be a hero." Finewid's face reddened, his jaw setting in determination. "What do you mean? You're saying I'll just accidentally become a hero or something?" The oracle's expression was enigmatic. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you will choose to be a hero, driven by your own sense of justice and morality. The threads of fate are not yet set in stone, but one thing is certain. You will take the path." Continued to bore into Finewid's very soul, her voice serious. "Remember, Finewid, the path of the hero is not an easy one. You will face challenges and dangers at every turn. But I sense that you have the heart of a hero, and that you will rise to the occasion." Finewid nodded, his mind racing with the weight of the oracle's words. He felt a sense of determination rising within him, a sense of purpose that he had never known before. The oracle reached out, her hand closing around a small, intricately carved wooden box that lay on the pedestal before her. "Take this, Finewid. It is a token of good luck, one that will guide you on your journey." Finewid's eyes widened as he took the box, his fingers closing around it as if it were a precious treasure. He opened it, revealing a small golden coin with a strange symbol etched onto its surface. Just as he looked up to thank the oracle, the floor beneath him gave way, and Finewid felt himself falling through a swirling vortex of colors. He closed his eyes, his stomach lurching with a sensation of weightlessness. When he opened them again, he found himself sitting on a bar stool in a bustling tavern. The patrons were all unusual. They wore long, flowing robes with intricate designs and symbols embroidered onto them. Finewid's eyes widened as he took in the scene before him. At first he thought it was some sort of costume party, but as he looked around he realized that everyone was wearing the same type of robes, and they all seemed to be studying him. Finewid's heart began to race as he slowly realized the truth. These people weren't just wearing costumes, they were wizards. Finewid's gaze swept the room, taking in the rows of shelves lined with dusty tomes, the candles burning with an otherworldly flame, and the strange glowing orbs that hung from the ceiling. He felt like he had stumbled into a dream world, one where magic was real and wizards were the norm.